Welcome to Reframe Your Mindset for Success. With me today is Mark Waldron. How are you today, Mark?
Good, thanks, Paul. Yeah, appreciate you having me on. And been a busy week, but busy not being a busy fool. Busy doing the stuff that gets the result. So busy being effective and executing.
Oh, good stuff, good stuff. What have you been working on this week? Anything interesting?
Yeah, to be honest, I mean everything in Move, which is obviously my company, we have a lot of things. We do try and push the boundaries, but without trying to spread ourselves too thin. So along with our normal marketing practices, which obviously keeps the business going, keeps the brand out there, gets people coming into Move, which I'm sure we'll get into today. It's also working on the project stuff and implementing new systems within the business and working on things that you work on them for a week, 2 weeks, a month, depending on how long it is. But once it's done, it's pretty much like done forever until the next time it needs to be upgraded. Good example being, we've just started really delving deep into using email marketing and actually using, our email list to try and drive some good results, give value and get people coming in for, our Move networking events, Move online and coaching clients. So that's something we've never done. That's pretty much, I could say 99% done now. But that's been something I've started from scratch with. But again, it's over the line now. So once it's over the line, it's one less thing to think about.
Sounds like a busy week then.
Yeah. On top of working on myself as well, always going to getting the workouts in and getting the steps in and, up on me reading and all that stuff.
And keeping it fit in general, yeah. Well, as you know, Mark, I normally start the podcast off with your story. So it's a little bit about yourself in however many words you want to tell it. So it's an over to you.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the key thing for me is I I started out just life in general as working in retail. Ended up working in a plumbing shop. Then I was back in retail, then in call centers. So I was in all these different places where it involved having to speak to other people, customers, and being having those good interpersonal skills. Obviously, being good at selling stuff, and eventually in pretty much every one of those roles, ending up almost being in the training side of things and the leadership, trying to develop the business and develop people. I'd always
Yeah.
just naturally fall into that element of like being the mentor, because I like just to help people naturally, even since just literally as a a young age, in my teens, in my early 20s, and then eventually I just knew I always wanted to try and maybe do something a bit more hands-on,
Yeah.
and in construction, something like that, get a trade. That's why one of the jobs I went for eventually was working in a plumbing supplier, thinking eventually I'll like learn a lot about plumbing and gas, and then I might come across someone who's looking to take someone on. I'll get a job as a gas engineer or something like that. And that just didn't work out though in the end, because while I was working there, we went through the 2008 recession, and they had to let me go. So it was like, okay. So got made redundant, ended up
Yeah.
back in another call center. And eventually I thought, you know what, I'm going to keep trying to pursue this. And then by chance, I was going to a gym, like regularly to a gym where a guy I knew, one of his friends started to like train with us, and this guy was a builder. So the more we sort of got to know each other, the more he'd talk about the fact that, he's running his companies, does extensions locally and does loft conversions. And he's basically just a domestic builder. And he'd complain about the fact that he had these apprentices, but he was just a pain. And he kept sort of alluding to the fact that once these guys have come out of apprenticeship, he wouldn't be offering them a job and he'd be getting rid of them. And at the same time, I was working in a call center doing hours I didn't really want to work.
Yeah.
I was working on the doors at the time on clubs to sort of supplement the money coming in, just to make sure I had more than what I needed. So I was working all these long hours, working weekends, and I was getting sick of doing that. And I said, God, I'd love to be in your apprentices like shoes. So, doing construction and learning all the stuff about revolving around the building game. And he eventually said, well, actually, before that, what I said was, if I take a week off work and book a holiday for a week, can I come and work for you for free, just to see if it's any good and see what you think of me and all that? And he agreed to that. So I worked for them for a week, and by the end of the week, he basically said, I'm really impressed with like your knowledge, considering you've never done anything in construction, but I've always helped my dad like doing DIY around the house. So I was
Yeah.
always well up on that. And so it went well anyway. And eventually he offered me a job. And within probably a 12 months of work for this guy, I didn't even work for him for 12 months. He ended up with a few issues where some jobs didn't go They can go through like big jobs, 100, 200 grand jobs, and he had to let me go eventually. Then I worked for another builder, and that guy had to let me go after about 4 months because again the work kept sort of there was loads of work, then there was no work. And after a year, I'd worked for 3 different builders, picked up some skills, and thought, you know what, I think I understand this game enough. I've always been quite good with my hands, and I understand how it's working. I'll give it a go. And just by chance, started as a, I don't know, I called myself a joiner, but I wasn't qualified. I'd
Yeah.
been doing the qualification, but I hadn't actually finished the course. And basically, I'd finished the course, but not put this like the file in the folder that shows you like there's all the work I can prove I've done it. I didn't get it signed off, so I've done the work, just haven't got it signed off, which I used to be a bit embarrassed about. I was like, oh, I don't want to tell people I'm not a qualified joiner. And then in the end, it actually played in my favour. People said, you like, because we did high end work, high quality work in construction, and people would say, can't believe how good this work is. And you used to say like, and you're not qualified, are you? I was like, no, it's just self-taught, picked up tips off other builders and made sure I know what I'm doing before I, call myself a builder. Or I didn't ever start building extensions until I really knew the step-by-step way of doing it. By doing it, working for other builders, then working with an architect to look at the way I'd do it if I was running a job, then eventually put that out there to clients to say, I can build you an extension. And I built up this job as a joiner to a full construction company and did that for about 10 years.
Yeah.
And where I am today is the company is called Move. That's my new company, which I've been doing since 2019. And the way that come about was in the end in construction. I love doing it, but there's so many things that I didn't like. I mean, again, I don't mind being in a dusty room and knocking stuff down, but I thought I don't want to do that for the rest of my life. Just being a dirty, dusty builder, get my hands dirty. I don't mind it as a one-off, but not for the rest of my life. And
Yeah.
then you've got customers not wanting to pay you, or they not that they didn't want to pay, but they're like, oh, the money's tight. Can we pay you next month? And you're like, well, I need the money. You've got to pay people. You've got to pay suppliers, and there'd always be this like, you do the work, then you get paid second if you get
Yeah.
paid it up. So it's very challenging. And I just knew, I thought, in order for me to grow something big and, do something I love, I just don't think it's going to be construction. And by chance, there was I suppose, especially with the leadership stuff comes in and mindset, I come across this guy who was talking about a program he was developing called 75 Hard. And it was basically a mental toughness program. And it involved doing 2 workouts a day. One of them had to be outdoors, reading 10 pages of a book, stick
Yeah.
to a diet, couldn't have
Yeah.
any cheat meals. You had to drink a gallon of water, like 4 litres, and take a progress picture every day. I think that was it. That's about
Yeah.
it. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to give that a go. And so the outdoor workout element, I did a fast-paced walk every day because I live in Wirral. I'd go to West Kirby Marine Lake and I just walk around the Marine Lake a couple of times. That was 45 minutes because it had to be minimum 45. And with me being very active on my social media, like LinkedIn and Instagram, I'd just be talking like on camera as I'm walking, doing videos saying like, I'm doing 75 hard, I'm out and about, getting the
Yeah.
steps in. And it slowly caught on where people who knew me that had networked with me for years was saying, oh, can I come on your walk with you, Mark? I've seen you been going regular and I need to get out. And I'd say, yeah, by all means, come along. They'd come along. And then, they'd love like just the fact that they'd got out just to walk and talk and chat and get some maybe things off the chest and all that. And then one person that come, he was the gas engineer and plumber that we used in our construction company. He said, I'll come, Mark, and all that. And at the end, he just sort of said, you know what? I really enjoyed that. It was like we were networking, but we were walking. And as he said it in that way, network and walking. I went, oh,
Brilliant.
we were networking, like a bit of a joke. And he went, oh, that's catchy, innit? Networking. And I wasn't quite sold on that. But in the end, within literally a few days, I thought networking, that could be a thing. And, I'm enjoying doing this, like getting people walking with me. Imagine if there was 5 of us or 10 of us all just going for a walk where we're getting fit and healthy, which is definitely not a bad thing. We're outdoors, even if it's raining, and that's good for your mindset and your resilience. But you'd
Yeah.
also get to have these conversations where you can talk about anything. It could be business related, could just be life, could be anything, could be just general hobbies and interests where you're making friends. So I thought I'm just going to put that out there. I thought every Saturday or every Sunday rather, I want to get my work done by, I go out at 7 in the morning and get it done and dusted out the way so it doesn't affect like me day with the
Yeah.
family. So I just put it out there and said, look, every Sunday I'm at West Kirby and I'm going for a walk. If anyone wants to come and join me, you can tap into my experience in life and business, and if I can help you in any way, great. If you can help me, even better. And we'll all get fit and healthy doing it. So if no one comes, it doesn't bother me because I do it anyway. But if anyone comes, great. And 4 people showed up. And I was like, okay, yeah, 4 people, there's 5 of us going for a walk. That was good. I did another video on LinkedIn saying, well, that was all right. There was 4 people. There was 5 of us with me, like me with 4 other people. And the next week, I said, we'll do it again next week. And there was 13 of us. So it was a decent
Right.
little group of people.
Yeah.
And at that point, that was it then. I thought, I'm going to start doing this every week, networking. And then the way move come from was when I was getting frustrated in construction with some clients. I used to think, like, what else could I do? What could I do that would be maybe something I'd be into, that where I'm helping other people? And I thought of this word move, which was just like, how have I got to where I am so far in life? I could go to the gym, got a decent physique, my mindset's in a good place. I don't have any type of mental health issues. My mindset's in a good place. All my relationships seem to be good. Like, there's not anyone I have, problems with.
Yeah.
Financially doing okay. Not a millionaire, but I'm not poor. Like, but I'm not doing too bad in life. How have I got there? What's the secret? And I just literally looked at everything thinking, well, to get a decent body and be fit and healthy, I've got to physically go to the gym and actually move. You can't just go to the gym and sit there. So move, that way, come up, move. And then I thought, well, to get the knowledge I've got now, I've had to keep moving in business and keep making mistakes, but keep going and keep moving. So I thought, okay, keep moving. And then relationships, if I have a problem, I sort it out with the person, we get better, keep moving. I thought just keeping moving in all these different areas of life just means that you keep progressing and getting better. And
Yeah.
that's where the word move come from. So when I started doing networking, I realised this one event almost encapsulates everything to do with this whole concept of move, where you round other people, relationships, you're getting fit and healthy, keeping moving physically, you're moving in your knowledge, everything in your life, you're moving, you're giving back, keeping moving. So that was it. That's how Move started. It was Move networking. And then, 4 years on now, over 4 years, it'll be 5 years in about 2 weeks on the 14th of July.
Yeah.
We'll be, we've got Move Online, we've got coaching where we coach people. We've got Move meetups where we get all the community of business owners that we've got together, all together to meet up socially. And then we do a few other things, like we've got something called Move Dining, which is it's to allow more, established businesses, those that turn over at least £1 million or more, to come together for some fine dining, have a nice casual chilled evening, no agenda, but they get to just be around each other and maybe talk on the higher level of business and make contacts at the higher level, rather than what a lot of networking is these days, which is more for either startups or just smaller businesses, which is obviously, that's got its time and its place. They're all valuable, but we just provide the services we do now. And it's all centered around one simple mission, which is to make better human beings. Me and my business partner, Andrea, who have come across, she come onto a Move Online meeting one time, and she just said, I love what you're doing. We had a few chats, and it turned out we're both just heading in the same direction. And I know I work better with other people around me and with either a business partner or someone to keep me accountable. So I thought I'd rather have, and she's very clued up in business and stuff, which is great. And I'd rather have, 50% of something big than 100% of something small. So it was a no-brainer to go 50-50, let her come into the business. And, from there, we've been flying ever since. And we're slowly but steadily growing Move, which has been really good to see, because lots of people like get the help from what we're doing, whether it be business related,
Yeah.
personally, on a physical and mental level, in the relationships. Again, all the stuff that Move stands for, people end up better off.
Fantastic. That, you know what? It's a fantastic story. I love the way that you built it as well. And especially that, underneath the key value there is making better human beings and all about movements. I do remember, Mark, going back to when you first started the networking and seeing it on social media. And I thought, you know what? I used to, when I was in the office back years and years ago, we used to have walk and talk meetings. And when I saw you'd done the network, I thought that's just genius. That's such a great thing to do. Great concept. And, for it to have grown from there, it's brilliant. And it's more about you following what you authentically enjoy doing, isn't it? To go, you like training, you like moving, you like mindsets, you've always liked that stuff. You've been a bit of a mentor. So to be able to do that stuff for a living, it must be so much better than trying to find something to do for a living, if that makes sense.
100%, mate. That's, this is one of the things we actually, actively work on with every member of Move. We try and make sure are you in the right business or the right job? Because not everyone will move as a business. It is great for people who are, professionals or students or people who just, ultimately, if someone wants to get better in life, and that's ultimately our mission, making better human beings. So someone just wants to level up in any area of their life, move's a great place to come. But helping other people to see that themselves, like, are you doing what you want to do? Because you literally can start to turn one of your hobbies into, and a passion into something you actually do, which can then become a business. And then it goes outwards and becomes a purpose where you're actually helping other people and it's not internal to you. Because again, I think a lot of people get stuck on the whole, what's your passion and what's your purpose? And ultimately passion is like a selfish thing. It's something you want for you internally. And if you can make that external so other people can benefit from it, that's when it becomes a purpose. And it's, a great example. We had a guy that's come to networking for probably, I think it's 2 years now, this summer. Yeah, like 2 years ago, I met this guy, and he was, his name's Dave. He literally does fiber broadband. He's got a company that lays all the, the fiber in the roads and stuff leading up to properties.
Yeah.
Eventually, that company, because of the way the industry was with COVID and everything, it was very tough to operate in. So a lot of companies were going bust and they just weren't commercially viable. So eventually he decided with his directors to stop doing it. He had a bit of money to sit on, so we didn't have to just go and get a job straight away. And I literally remember speaking to him one day and said, what would you do if you could do anything? And he said, oh, I love bikes, love motorbikes. He said, I've got my own bikes, been driving them for years, love keeping in good order and servicing them and making them stay immaculate, and I like driving them. And I said, do you know what? Just start talking about bikes on a TikTok account or, Instagram. And he eventually he did. He said, okay, yeah, and he made a video, and then he did this, and he started making this content. And eventually he's turned that into now where literally within the last month or two, he started to get clients saying, right, can you service my bike? Because I want my bike looked after the way you seem to look after your own bikes. So he's got that. I've helped him get to a point where he's, from almost his messages like, I look after your bike as much as I look after my own bike. And he's starting to get paid to do the thing he loves. And that's going to be his business going forward. You know what I mean? Without doubt, he'll get to a point where he's too busy with clients daily. And it'll be the thing he loves doing. And now he's looking at arranging a local, motorbike meetup once a month and be like the guy that coordinates the community, which again, I sort of planted the idea in his head. And I'll be working with them with that in some way. So that's just a good example of us using Move and the whole community to help other members do the same thing I've done, which, as you say, is getting paid to do the thing that you love to do. It's not a bad position to be in.
That's it's a great example, and I'm a massive believer in, if you can do what you love, it just makes your life easier, doesn't it? Completely. Well, as you know, Mark, the podcast is about your mindset or reframing your mindset, and a lot of what you do that is literally what it's all about. But why is mindset so important to you?
To be honest, mate, I think, mindset is like the foundation of everything, isn't it? It's, even if you think down to like the basic level of, think of the earth, the earth's a natural place with stuff naturally growing, trees and, the sea and all that. But as soon as man-made structures started to appear for human beings, which we're surrounded by it now, every single thing that exists come from initially someone thinking about it. And then someone not just thinking about it, but they have this can-do attitude of, what if we had this thing called a bridge or a cup or a laptop or, anything? And there's no way you would even be on that level to be thinking about creating stuff if your mindset wasn't in that place. Because if you had a negative mindset, or it was on the, the negative side of the whole spectrum, you'd obviously, you'd be defeated in everything you'd think of. Like, oh, what about designing a cup? Oh, well, that'll be too hard. I won't do that. What about a bridge or an airplane? Oh, that's silly. I'm not going to be able to do that. So mindset allows you to get the belief that something can be done. And as long as it's up with the action to try, eventually, most people get to where they're going. And again, we're surrounded by advancements in all sorts of technology these days of everything that's around us. And it all stems from one something, which is the mindset of the human being that come up with it.
Right, with you. And how would you describe your mindset then, on the basis of, obviously you understand it's really important in creating things in life, but how would you describe your mindset to another person?
I would say, it's very, I'm always looking like, what, put it this way, one of our company values is innovation. It's like, I like to innovate. I like to try and do things differently or better and come up with new ways, new concepts, a bit like networking. You know, I'm sure networking as a concept existed somewhere, and maybe it wasn't called networking, but I just thought, you know, oh, we did networking and, you know, networking and walking, and that could be good. And I put it out there. And my mindset is just always, how can I get the most out of my life and most out of myself? And it's like I'm willing to go through anything that is hard, because I've slowly established this, like, I suppose it's like almost like my own personal brand as well, but this almost a blueprint or a theory that is, you know, my life is really easy with hard things. So the more hard things I do, the easier life is. And in some ways, I'm lazy because I just, you know, in some ways I don't want to do anything because I'm lazy and I want an easy life. But I've
Yeah.
also understood that the paradox is, to get things easy, you've got to go and do hard things, which is a strange thing, isn't it? Because, like, if I lift up 100 kilo barbell now, or a kettlebell that's really heavy, it's easy for me to lift up because I've done, you know, countless workouts lifting heavy weights. So I've
Yeah.
done the hard work so that when I do want to lift something up that's heavy, I can do it. And it's the same with, you know, creating an event for Move. You know, there's a lot that goes into it, loads of effort. But because I've done it that many times and put the hard work in, when it is time to create the next event we're going to do, it's easy to do because of all the hard work I put in. So my mindset is all very much centered around, always go down the path that is hard, because you will always come out with the life being easy. And when I say life being easy, it could be easy physically, easy because of financial, easy with good relationships. And again, it always goes back to this, the concept of what Even Move is about, which is looking at the areas of life that we almost have, that we split our lives into, which is your work, yourself, your relationships, and then your ability to give back to other people.
Good stuff, and very much about the law of cause and effect, that isn't it? You know, what you
Yeah.
put in, you know, you'll get out. But I like the way that you frame that with making life easier.
Yeah.
And so on the basis of, you know, you describing that, what techniques do you use on a daily basis to keep your mindset in a great place?
Um, I mean, for me personally, I have a quite a basic blueprint, which again, when I see people who are stuck in life, this is usually what I would tell them. And it's just because it's the way I live. And that simple blueprint is that I have to look after myself first. So for me to have a good mindset and be able to, you know, perform and do the daily tasks that need to be done, whether that be around the house or servicing clients and growing the company, or if I had a job, you know, do my job to a good, you know, degree and to a good ability. I've got to be physically and mentally my best, because, you know, as the saying goes, you can't pour from an empty cup. So you can't, like, there's not much you can do unless you put the effort in and work on yourself. So for me, I go, I would say go to the gym, but I don't actually go to the gym anymore, because for the last year I've worked out from home. But I have kettlebells in the house. I follow a program called Shred Fast, which is some local guys in Liverpool, but they are like worldwide now. You can just, you get an account, you turn the computer on, you choose the day that you're on, and they've done a pre-recorded workout, and you just follow it. So I'm physically moving and physically challenging myself, and, you know, it's tough, sweating, you know, to breath. But for that hour, it's a bit of me time, because I get up nice and early to do it. And when I say nice and early, I mean I go to bed at 9 o'clock and I get up at 4. So most days by
Wow.
half four, 5 o'clock, I'm working out. I drink a litre of water as soon as I get up. So I fill that bottle up the night before, go and put it on the basin upstairs. So when I go into the bathroom, as soon as I get out to bed, I'd say, oh, there's the bottle. I start just, you know, swigging on it, and within 5 or 10 minutes, I've drunk a litre. So I'm fully hydrated. I've got my brain working because it's not, you know, dehydrated. Cold shower every morning. So again, something that, do I really want to get in a cold shower? No. But do I do it every day? Yeah. Done it for since about 2019 now. So nearly 5 years, or over 5 years. Or it might have even been 2018, not 19, but it's a lot of years anyway. And it's just normal now, getting a cold shower straight away,
Wow.
because again, hard
Yeah.
things make it easy life. So again, I'm working on myself, knowing like I've done something challenging from, like, you know, a mindset point of view, because it's not like you have to do anything to get in the shower. You just got to turn it on cold. But I didn't have to do it, but I chose to. I've done something physical. Then I'll usually do a bit of, like, maybe usually read 10 pages, so I've educated myself. And then I'll get a few things done where it's out the way, like a social media post, or maybe reply to a few emails. So I feel like I'm accomplished already. I've done a few things. And by this time, it's, 6:30, 7 o'clock. So I've got a fair bit done
Yeah.
before, the regular day, quote unquote, has started. And so that's the first step. It's like work on yourself. So that's stage one. Stage two is I know throughout the week when I'm going to be seeing my family. I've got a wife and a little lad who's 3.5. My mum and dad, like seeing them, my sisters and some friends and stuff. So it's like, when am I going to be seeing my family? And I plan it in every Wednesday afternoon. I see my son or Mark, like it's just, we go out to family all the time, but I want to go out with just him. So it's like dad and lad time. And
Yeah.
it's a Wednesday afternoon. So me and him get to go out together. I plan that in every single week. Today on a Friday afternoon, I'll always go out with Stefan, our little Mark, and we'll go out and do something as a family. The weekends, I know I'm going to be with my family at networking events on a Wednesday evening and a Saturday. So for the family points, the family time, it's all planned in.
Yeah.
So at this point, bear in mind, I'm using my calendar in my phone, like on my laptop and on my phone, which is connected, to plan this in. So I know that every morning there's me time, then there's the family time, and then every other bit of time throughout the day, it's work time, it's work on like growing stuff that's helping people.
Yeah.
And again, as a direct result, money comes in, magically. But I'm not focused on the money. I'm focused on helping people, and the money flows and follows. So
Yeah.
for me, that's my blueprint to life. It's like me, my family, work in that order, and that means I'm effective when I do the work because I've worked on myself.
Excellent. That's just it's fantastic. Great explanation as well. On the basis of you getting to where you've got to now, then, if we looked at who's helped you or what's helped you, because sometimes it can be a book, it could be something you've listened to. What's helped shape you to get to where you are with your mindset now and the way that you live your life?
Paul, I would say it's probably a combination of a few things, but one of the first thing to think of is it's reading books, reading books from people who are either still alive now or passed away many years ago, like, Napoleon Hill and Think and Grow Rich, and reading the classic books. But, the classics for a reason, because they've got some of the need to knows and the basics of life. They tell you how to succeed in life, how to influence and influence people. So reading these good books just almost give you a head start to, like, say, don't try and do it all yourself. Don't try and reinvent the wheel. Like, people have been there and done it, and they've
Yeah.
shared it in books. So books are, like, great, and in particular the two I've just said, plus mentors. So people who either are actual mentors that who are local, or people on the internet who do podcasts like yourself now, and people who've got YouTube channels. You don't have to know those people, but there's a lot of people giving good advice. One person I've followed since about 2000 and, I don't know, 17 was Andy Frisella, who's, again, he's the guy that created 75 Hard. And he just puts out such good content to do with mindset, business, sales. He started talking more about like politics and the way the world's run, so you can understand it better. And just by, again, listening to him, it's helped me really level up as a human being and understand, like, whenever you think you're performing well, you only have to be around a few other people or see what other people are doing who are performing way bigger than you and way more than you, that you think, actually, there's another level to go. And then,
Yeah.
again, if you're hungry for it, you'll try and aim to get to that level and keep going. And in some levels, I'm maybe not at the top, but I'm quite high up. Like, from a physical level, I train virtually every day. I go to the gym, I eat well. People see me physique and think, oh God, I'd love to look like that. And that's a nice compliment. But I've got to a level now where, when I'm like, I don't have to say this, what's the word? Like, if I'm at my worst, quote unquote, I've still got like a six perhaps. That's my worst, because I've set the bar so high that I won't
Yeah.
accept anything less than that. And I try and keep that attitude and that mindset and mentality for everything. So, whether it be business, I want to be so rich and have so much money that if I was having a bad time, it's like, oh, I've only got 10 million in the bank account or 100 million, like that. Imagine that, rather than a billion. So, in every area of life, my
Yeah.
mindset is to get to such a level that even if I'm failing based on my expectations, I'm actually still in the top 1%. And that's the goal. And I've got that through listening to people like Andy Frisella and then
Yeah.
reading those books, you know, the good quality. There's loads of good new books out at the moment. Even like David Goggins is a great guy to stuff to listen to. Tim Grover, who used to be the coach for like Michael Jordan, Kobe
Yeah.
Bryant and stuff like that. So all these people who are around high level individuals, you don't have to know them, but you can tap into their mindsets and their words and what they're saying through the channels that they put stuff out in, whether it be a book or a podcast or a YouTube channel, etc. And that's how I suppose, got to where I am, because no disrespect to where I'm from, but I'm from Kensington and Liverpool, and there's not many people out there who are entrepreneurial or showing the way or, you know, living in nice houses, because around there we lived in a 2 up, 2 down house. And
Yeah.
so the only thing you see was other people that live in a 2 up, 2 down house. And we didn't even have a car. Most people don't have a car around there. They might do today, but when we lived there, we didn't. So a
Yeah.
few people had cars. Cars weren't that good. And it's like there's not much to be inspired in certain areas where you grow up. But you can literally be around, even if not in a physical sense, you can be around people who have been like Tony Robbins, you know, someone like that. It's
Yeah.
sort of this whole genre of mindset and leadership. You can, you know, in the 80s, it'd be able to get around Tony Robbins. You could read his book, that was about it, and maybe go to a seminar. But now through Zoom and the internet and social media, you could be checking in with Tony Robbins every single week, or at least seeing content from him. So that's where I feel like, you know, the internet has got its that's the positive side of the internet. You've got
Yeah.
access to really good quality stuff to help you get your mindset in a good place, learn skills, and, you know, upskill. As long as you, like with any resource, if you use it for good, you'll get good back. If you use it for bad and you just, you know, you're scrolling all day on Instagram and you're not really doing anything, that's where the internet becomes sort of probably less productive.
Great advice once again. So yeah, some great names there as well with great content. So on the basis of, you know, where, you know, going from Kensington to where you are today, have you got any funny stories that you could share or tell, or a funny story that you share with the listeners?
Oh, mate, I've got load. In what respect, though? What, just anything in life, or just in a particular?
And yeah, anything in life or, you know, in business, it's, you know, it's up to you really. It's just a bit of humor
Oh,
really.
to be honest, mate, there's probably there's loads of stuff I've done in life that's funny. You know, one of the problem, well, not it's not a problem, but like I think my persona at the moment and for the last few years has been very, you know, I talk about discipline and I talk about, you know, I'm showing people how to be the best they can be and put the work in. So
Yeah.
people often don't see the funny side of myself, and I always have a laugh, like, you know, I'm always
Yeah.
the silly kid in the room type of thing. So I love it, but it doesn't show in my social media. So I'm trying to get more of that now, and even like, you know, recently you might have seen it yourself. I've started to interview people at networking where I literally got this little tiny mic, little DJI mic, really high quality, but it's very small. And I thought, I want to like hold this little tiny mic and start like speaking into it, and then trying to like put my hand over to my their mouth, and it's going to look a bit odd. I thought I need to clip it onto something. So I just thought, it's only thin. It doesn't like go onto the end of something round, so it's got to be something that's flat. I'm thinking like, what have I got in the house that's flat? But bear in mind, I have a social media strategist who we pay to tell us what to do, and she said, tomorrow morning at network and interview people. This is going to be great content. Start interviewing people. I was like, okay, this is like 8, 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a chance to be ordering something off Amazon. And I grabbed a spatula, a plastic spatula. And I don't even use the spatula anymore. It's just in the kitchen drawer. And I thought, right, do you know what? That fits on there. It's like quite sturdy. It's not going to fall off. And I was like in two minds thinking, oh, you know, it's a bit stupid. And then the kid in me is like, oh, we'll just do this. And the PR, the marketing side of me is like, this would be really good. People will be like, what are you doing with a spatula? And I literally used the spatula and everyone was laughing. And I started putting the videos on the social media. This in like February. And the amount of people that just, some people didn't even notice. And eventually like, wait, Dave, are you using a spatula? To interview people, and then they realised it does actually have a mic on. It is serving its purpose, but yeah, I'm using a spatula. And now at network, and that's all we do. We just come up, I just try and come up with the funniest stuff. So like last week, one of the questions I asked everyone, and I made a compilation video. I posted it literally just the other day. It's on my Instagram. I just went up to everyone, didn't tell them. They thought it was going to be like one of these videos where I say, so why'd you come to networking? And why would you encourage other people to come? And instead I just got them and said, what's one thing you want mum and dad to know about you? And then you could see them, you could literally see them thinking, like, "Ooh,
Gone
I can't
pale.
say this." And it was more about, I didn't want the answer, I wanted the reaction. And honestly, well, yeah, the reactions on it was so funny. And
Oh,
again,
but
that
yeah.
video was done well. And
Oh,
that
I'll
kind
have
of
to watch
stuff,
that.
I
I haven't
mean,
seen it. I'll have to watch it. I've seen some of the outtakes. You've done something. I think
yeah,
it's good to have that. It's the humanness, isn't it? You know what I mean? We're
oh, that's
busy
it,
being
mate.
busy. So it's nice to get that humor in there.
Yeah, and even like my business partner Andrea, she tells everyone about, because she's like, "Oh, everyone thinks you're dead serious, Mark, but I'm with you every day, and it's this whole opposite to what you probably come across online. We need to change that." And we just have a laugh every day. We're always laughing. And like Andrea is dyslexic, so she'll say certain words, but she'll get the word wrong, or there'll be something, and I have to like try and like, either if it's the right situation and the right person, I can correct that. But sometimes I think I don't need to say anything here, but I'll make a note and tell her, like, because she'll just say the funniest like words, and she'll say one thing and mean another. It's every single day I'm just giggling at like what she's saying, and then she'll send me texts which make no sense to anyone, and I'll look at it and go, "Oh yeah, okay, yeah," but she's totally spelt everything wrong, but I know what she means. And when she shows people, like, "How does he even know what that means?" And I don't even know how I understand, but I
You can
understand what she's
interpret.
saying. But there was this literally like one silly time, going back to your question, like a funny story. She wrote on some document we were trying to edit. We were just going to and fro the shared like a Microsoft Word documents. We collaborators on it, and she wrote something on it. Said, "This is all about the ACDC." So I read through it and I'm like, "This is all about the ACDC." And I thought, me dear, I thought I can tell straight away what she means. And what she was trying to say was, she put ACDC thinking a band, and the band she actually went to put was Status Quo. And it was meant to say, "This is all about the status quo," or something like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
she just wrote ACDC thinking, "I think that's right." To anyone else, it just wouldn't make any sense. But I was like,
Well,
I
you got
texted
it.
back saying, "Just checking, is that meant to say status quo, not ACDC?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, yeah, made sense in my head." And it's like, we were just laughing our heads off.
Ah, superb, superb. And this is it, isn't it? No matter what we do, no matter what we're trying to achieve in life, we should always make it fun, shouldn't we? Have a bit of banter, enjoy ourselves in what we're doing.
Yeah, I think again, one of our values in Move is fun. There's just literally no point doing anything, whether it's a job, a business, or something you're trying to do, if you can't see the fun side in it, and you can't have fun, even if it's in a tough time. Like, there's got to be some elements of fun in there. If you haven't got that, it's a good indication that you're not doing the thing that you're probably meant to be doing in life. So let that be the trigger to at least make you start to think, what other direction can I go in?
Definitely. So if you were to, and to round this off, you'd give one last piece of advice to the listeners, when it comes to mindset, what would it be?
Uh, oh, mate, I think the key thing is, it's knowing what you want in life. And when we coach people we coach some big businesses that people turn over, like, multi-million pound companies, and whether it's a big company or it's a person who's starting out in business, self-employed. And again, even if you're neither of them and it's just in life, the thing we often work on straight away is the company mission, vision, and values. It's like three core things you would just do, because they help you then go forward the proper way. And the
Yeah,
key thing, without doubt, knowing your mission's great, but the vision is the key thing as well. You've got to know, like, where you're headed. And the reason for being it, just hopefully that your listeners can take this on board. I was only speaking the other day to a few days ago, networking. There was someone new come, and she was she'd been, and probably still is, a very successful businesswoman. But she said, "I'm just a bit, don't want to do that thing anymore that I've been doing. Don't have the heart in it. No fire in my belly. Just don't know what to do next." And her problem was, she was trying to figure out what to actually do, like the actual things she would do. And what I said was, you you need to figure out, like, what it is you're passionate about, and the thing that you could turn into, you know, um, like, take it from a passion to a purpose. I
yeah,
said, you don't have to, if you're going on holiday, you don't have to know the exact hotel you're going to stay in. But what you can do is choose the country you're going to go to. So, we know we're going to Turkey this year, funny enough, in September, but we don't know
Yeah.
what hotel we're staying in. But the fact that we're going to Turkey means that when we go and search for a holiday, we're not searching for holidays in Las Vegas or Australia. We're searching for holidays in Turkey because we've at least zoned in on that bit. And that makes life easy. So in your own personal life, no matter what it is you're trying to achieve, you don't need to know the exact answer, but you at least need to know the direction you're headed and really cement that and confirm it. Because once you do, all future decisions become a lot easier because you know if it fits and whether it's congruent with that initial, mission or thing you want to do and where you're headed. So get clear on where do you really want to head in life? Because once you do that, the job you choose, the business you start, the people you're around, what you choose to do every day, whether it's be on social media or read books or take up a pastime, all that will become very clear as to whether that is going to take you to where you're going or take away from it. And that would be me advice.
Brilliant advice. So great way to end. Thank you very much for coming on the podcast. I think you've given some great insights into mindset, and obviously into move as well. So thank you very much for your time today, Mark.
My pleasure, Paul. Appreciate the call to come on. Obviously, we've known each other a good few years now, so any opportunity to get to talk about move and help people, again, making better human beings, I'll always bite people's hands off for it.
Brilliant. Thank you.